All right, I said I'd probably be back later today, and true to my word, here I am. Some more big news came out today. Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua have decided to exercise the rematch clause. They've made a decision, and I'm going to read a quote from Eddie Hearn right here from his Twitter. It says, "After meetings with AJ, Rob, and the management team in New York, we have today triggered the contracted rematch clause with Andy Ruiz Jr." And he said the fight will take place in November or December at a venue to be confirmed shortly. So I'm joined here by D Style Boxing. Welcome, D Style Boxing. Always a pleasure to have you. Um,
What's going on, man? What's going on?
what's going on? I'm doing pretty good. What do you think of this? It seems like they're moving really, really fast with this. Do you think it's wise for them? And I've mentioned that I don't think it's wise for them to jump into a rematch, so quickly. Do you think it's wise for them to jump in this rematch so quickly? And do you think Joshua will be ready physically and mentally for this rematch?
Man, that is a very difficult question to answer, to be honest with you, because it can work many ways, right? Sometimes guys like to jump right at that immediate rematch. It's just that old, like you fall off the horse, you get back on it right away, so you don't stay scared, right? And I honestly don't know the answer to that. But what I will say is, what I am surprised of is that they made the decision so quickly. Like the fight just happened on Saturday. Take a week off at least. Like really think about what are you going to do. Take a month off. You have time to decide. I don't understand what the hurry is to make the decision, because you can't possibly know if you're making the right decision if you're making it like right out of the gate. So I am a little bit of skeptical about why they're making this decision so fast. Either they're going to say that it was the right decision if he wins, and they're going to say it was a terrible decision if he loses. Me personally, I think Joshua needed like a buffer fight. He needed to go in there, fight somebody else, get a victory under his belt, and then kind of go from there. But he seems motivated to just jump in there. I actually, while I was working, I was listening to an interview that he did um, with Sky Sports, and he seemed okay. Like he seemed like he just wanted to jump right back in there, and it might be his decision here. I think he feels confident that he's going to take care of business in the rematch, but man, it just seems too soon to me.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I questioned whether the fire was still there from AJ because he was just too accepting of the loss. And also, too, it's been said that he seemed relieved that he's no longer the heavyweight champion. Maybe the weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders because, as we know, with this Tyson Fury situation, being heavyweight champion was too much to bear for him. It had a lot of put a
Yeah.
lot of weight on his shoulders, put a lot of stress on him psychologically, and we all know what happened there. And I got the sense that possibly maybe that was to probably a much lesser degree was happening to Anthony Joshua. So that's what I'm saying. Like this, just I've never seen something like this where a rematch clause was like a rematch clause was exercised. What were the fight Saturday? So it was Sunday, Monday. Today's Tuesday. Like 3 days. Usually they take a week or two before they make the decision. They have to really, really think about it. And I'm just really at a loss here that
Hmm.
they moved so quickly with this. I just and here's the thing: is it going to be easy, or is it going to be as easy as Hearn thinks to negotiate with Ruiz now? Because Ruiz was quoted today saying, "I call the shots now," and he's going to sit and he's going to go back and talk to Al Heyman. How difficult is this rematch going to be to put together? Like, do you
Yeah.
think that Al Heyman is going to be saying to Ruiz, you know, we don't want to go to the UK. We want this fight here. We want a bigger piece of the pie that may be offered. We're going to try to position ourselves and bargain for more money this time around, substantially more money this time around. Um, I don't know. Like, is there going to be some bumps in the road here in putting this fight together? Because it seems like Hearn wants to rush it. So, because Hearn wants to rush it and put it together so fast, will he be easier to deal with this time around? Or will he just give in to everything Ruiz wants and Ruiz and his team wants? Or will there be kind of, I don't know, some drawn out negotiations here that may have to go to purse bids eventually because they can't agree to terms. And if that happens, then Ruiz is definitely going to get, the bigger share there.
He'll get the lion's share if that happens. I don't think
Yeah,
they're going to allow that to happen.
yeah,
But it gives him a lot of leverage, though.
yeah, because he has the titles now. So,
Yeah. That's
they,
leverage right there when it comes to negotiations.
yeah, they may just give him whatever he wants because they don't want it to go to purse bids. Because even though Anthony Joshua is not the mandatory challenger for any of the belts now, obviously he's probably going to still be ranked. But I think that's, if I'm correct, I've read where the sanctioning body said if a rematch clause is initiated, it's exercised, and the two parties can't come to terms, then the fight will go to purse bids. So
which I don't think Eddie Hearn wants at all. I mean,
yeah,
you're talking about 60% for Andy Ruiz, no matter who wins. Like if you remember, remember when Povetkin and Klitschko went to purse bids?
yes.
And even though Povetkin's promoter won the purse bid, like the chunk of that money went to Klitschko, right? So and that's the reason that fight actually happened in Russia.
Yeah.
So even if Eddie Hearn wins the purse bid, or Joshua's side, I should say, then 60% of that is going to go to Andy Ruiz. So I don't think they want that to happen. But look, there's no way in hell Al Heyman is going to just let this just slide by easily, man.
Yeah.
Right? Let's assume that there's going to be no bad blood because Al Heyman, at the end of the day, is a businessman. He's in it to make money, right? Al Heyman cares more about making money than any bad blood, right? And I think his track record kind of shows that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, he will work, and a good businessman will work with anybody, right? So they're going to try to maximize profits here. They're going to use the purse bid as leverage to get a really good deal. And either Joshua and his team are going to have to agree to fight in the U.S. where they can. It's very marketable in L.A. and Texas. They probably won't do it in Texas, though, because of the history of Texas and judges and stuff, and refs. But, it's still marketable in the West Coast and East Coast. The rematch will be even bigger here.
Can I just cut you off real quick?
Yeah.
I apologize. T White 0786 is saying this isn't a mandatory fight there for no purse bids. Again, you weren't listening when I was talking earlier. I explained why this could go to purse bids. If you read the sanctioning body rules, if a rematch clause is exercised and the two parties cannot come to an agreement, the fight will go to purse bids. Look it up. Look it up.
Plus, like we all know, Beeb, that it just takes one of these sanctioning bodies to say, okay, Anthony Joshua is the mandatory. Okay, like these guys don't. But
it doesn't have in a situation like this where there's an immediate where there's a rematch clause. You don't have to be a mandatory because the sanctioning bodies have a rule in place if there is a rematch clause. I know what you fight, Doctor. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, but
they do. But if you look it up, the sanctioning bodies have a rule where if a fight goes to purse bids and they can't agree to terms, then it will. WBA, IBF. I've read them. So look it up. Go look it up.
To my point,
I'm gonna go pull it up for you.
They will have leverage for that, but not only that, they'll have a good argument that there's a lot of money to be made, West Coast, East Coast, with a Mexican fan base now. Everybody knows that when it comes to there's Mexican money in boxing, okay, and that's going to be on the table now. Those chips have been thrown in. Those white, red, and green chips have been thrown on the table now, all right? And that's the color of the Mexican flag, by the way. But those chips are on the table now. They have to acknowledge that. And there's going to be some hard negotiation here. And either they're going to have to agree to fight here in the States, or they're going to have to show Andy Ruiz the money to go to the UK. It's one or the other. And I don't think there's going to be a problem making the fight happen. But I think they're going to have, like, the Joshua's team has been humbled, babe. They're going to have to concede to something, and their fan base, the fan base of AJ, needs to understand that the circumstances have just simply changed. Like, this is a totally different circumstance. They have been humbled here, not only in the ring, but in terms of negotiation, that they have lost a lot of leverage. Leverage is everything. You know that, baby. Leverage is everything in negotiations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, people think that a rematch clause, right, means that you're forced to fight and that the terms are already agreed to. And we both know this is not true.
Absolutely. It's not going to be easy putting this fight together.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to happen, though. I don't think it's not going to happen. But I do believe the fight's going to happen. But, it might be better for Joshua, though, if the fight's difficult to happen, that, he might be better off fighting somebody else, to be honest with you. But, we'll see, man. But because there's a lot of money to be made in this rematch. This is a big money fight.
I agree. I mean, I'm just curious to see where this fight ends up, because even Hearn backtracked and said that we may have to do this fight over here.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, did the arrogance of even just so matter-of-factly saying it after the fight. Oh, yeah, we're going to have the rematch in the UK.
But then he went back on it afterwards.
Yeah, but, you just don't do that at that time, especially when you're supposedly saying this is Andy's time and this, that, and the third. Like, don't even mention locations or anything like that. Plus, if you're already going to rematch the guy and you want to raise some demons, then you know what? Then you got to do it in the US. That's my opinion. Okay.
Well, here's my take on the whole thing.
Yep.
You were supposed to come over here to and conquer America. You were supposed to make a splash. You were supposed to come here and make a splash here in America, right? So you failed at that. So now because you failed at that, you're going to run back to the UK and have a rematch there. You want to achieve the goal that you were originally started, right?
Yeah.
We'll come right back to the scene of the crime, right?
I do want to say there's 23 people in the chat, 8 likes. Go ahead and throw a jab at that like button, by the way. Just take a moment and throw a jab at that like button. Sorry, people. Yeah.
No problem.
But, which makes me segue to this. What do you make of this, Beeb? If this fight was in the UK, this wouldn't have happened, right? Like just even Chisora said it, and you have all these UK fans, not necessarily even UK fans. It's just some fans in general keep saying if this fight was in the in the UK, this result wouldn't have happened. Are they when they talk about the ref was being unfair and like, what are they talking about? I think the ref did a phenomenal job. Am I missing something, babe?
I think he did I normally don't like that referee. But
actually, let me take this back. He should have stopped the fight when he turned his back on the ref and walked to the ropes and leaned on the ropes. That should have been it, right? So if anything, the ref gave this guy an extra opportunity, okay, to still fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do they want? Did they want the ref to interfere, like hit like WWE style to do hit Andy Ruiz with a steel chair from being what did they want the ref to do?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I can't believe it, man. That was I don't understand what they're talking about. When Chisora said this wouldn't have happened if it was in the UK. What does he mean by that? Well, what is he implying?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, what is it going to be, home cooking over there? that's what I'm thinking about, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Now, I do want to talk about this people downplaying. Okay. Most people are giving Ruiz this credit, but I don't want to mention any names on your channel. You can if you want, but, there's dudes coming out downplaying the whole first Mexican to win the world championship. Like, we don't all know what that means, right? Like we don't all know what that means. Oh, no, he's American. He's just another American that won a title. What are these people talking about? Yes, he's from the United States. He's an American citizen. He's American. This is his country of birth. He has a social security number. Okay. But he is of Mexican descent. All right. They're like, let's stop acting stupid. All right. And do this whole, like, oh, well, I don't know. He's just another American to me. We're all American. Yes, we are. But let's stop acting stupid and downplaying the significance of this win.
Yeah.
Like, stop downplaying the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know how many quote unquote Americans have been world champion, Beeb?
Everyone, a lot of them.
There's been a lot of them.
A lot of them.
So when they just downplayed, oh, he's just another American that won a title, then it almost doesn't mean anything at this point. He's the first Mexican American, right? Or just Mexican, right? We all know what that means. I did a video titled, Randy Ruiz, first, Mexican to win the championship, and somebody says, some asshole puts a comment saying Mexican American with an asterisk. Like, well, what does that even mean? Like, if I don't know the dude's American, just downplaying the thing. Everyone knows that Rocky Marciano was loved by Italian people here in the States. Everybody knows that. Well, if you just say, well, he's just another American champion, Rocky Marciano, then you take away the significance of what that meant to people of Italian descent. Like, you strip that significance from it. This was significant. It was historic. All right. And anyone who watched it live, I mean, you witnessed history.
Well, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
You're of Mexican descent. I believe you were born here, correct?
Yes.
But you have a lot of family members that weren't born here, correct? That were born in Mexico.
My mother was born in Mexico. My dad was from LA, but my grandmother was from Mexico. Both sides of my family, grandparents from Mexico. Yes.
So how would they receive Andy Ruiz? What would their opinion be of Andy Ruiz? Would they consider him a Mexican heavyweight champion?
Definitely. I grew up watching boxing with my grandfather. That's why I love the sport. A lot of Hispanics grew up watching boxing and watching Julio Cesar Chavez and Pintor and Cuevas and the whole nine. But my thing is, yes, my grandfather, first of all, he died like 10 years ago. He never lived. He didn't live to see he watched boxing his whole life. He didn't live to see a heavyweight, a Mexican heavyweight, a Mexican descent, become heavyweight champion of the world. It is significant. You think Julio Cesar Chavez is going to be dancing and celebrating that win? Okay, if he just considered Andrew Ruiz just another American heavyweight.
Yeah, I saw a video of him, and he was there with a group of Mexican broadcasters, and I think who was the other guy? A Mexican promoter was there too, and they were jumping up and down, going crazy when watching Ruiz knock out Anthony Joshua. So,
I mean, just think about the significance that Mexican fighters, by the way, Mexican fighters from Mexico and Mexican American fighters, right? Just think about the significance that they've had on the sport, right? I mean, just on the sport in general. Okay. And there's never been a heavyweight champion of Mexican descent. This is significant. This is not just some random thing. All right. I mean, we're talking about a significant, ethnicity that plays let's not pretend like they don't, like Mexicans don't. Mexicans play a very important role, all right, in boxing in general. The fact that there's never been a Mexican heavyweight champion, all right, and now there is, means something. Okay, it does. It means something.
I agree, man. I totally agree. And I think it's huge. Andy Ruiz is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel tonight, man.
That's great. Oh,
Not
that I
often.
might react live to that shit. I might do some. That's awesome.
That's really good, man. So
I mean, that's great. I mean, I want you to picture this, babe. This was the last. Like this fight wasn't even supposed to happen, right? Like, who knows if Andy Ruiz? I assume he would have, but we don't know if he would have ever had his title shot. Like this was. It only happened because Miller got busted, right? We all know that, right? I forgot, what did Miller get busted for? Like PDs or
PEDs, yeah.
okay, it wasn't steroids or HGH. I don't even know what it was. Okay,
HGH.
okay. I mean, obviously it was PDs, but what I meant to say was the HGH or whatever. Whatever it was, it's irrelevant. Andrew Ruiz gets called up, right? And I mean, and he proved me wrong. He proved you wrong. He proved a lot of people wrong, right? And the dude wasn't even verified. He's not even verified right now on Twitter, right? The dude didn't even have he had like a couple thousand supporters and or followers on Twitter. He wasn't visible anywhere, and nobody knew who this guy was outside of hardcore boxing fans. And now you got Snickers, okay, tweeting out about Andy Ruiz overnight, right? You see that video where he shouted out his mom?
Yeah. That was awesome.
I mean, it's people have forgotten. Like, this isn't, unfortunately, Beeb, it's not true with every division. There's some divisions where guys, you know this, right? Win world championships, and it might be their biggest payday, but it's not like life changing. Well, maybe it is 100,000, whatever it is, right? But like when you become heavyweight champion of the world in the year 2019, babe, it's life changing. Like overnight, your life changes. The whole thing. I think that's awesome. That's a good thing for boxing. You got everybody talking about Andy Ruiz. And I don't care that they can make all the fat jokes they want. Every single one of them knows, all right, that he'll whoop their ass anyway. So who cares? I think this was significant. This was big, right? He made a lot of people proud, and you don't even have to be Mexican to be proud of Andy Ruiz. His story is awesome, right?
It's inspirational.
It's inspirational. And this guy, he's out here. You think he cares that people are making all these jokes? I'm sure he's heard all the jokes already. Like, who's the joke on? The guy, the big muscular dude that got knocked out? Like, Stephen A. Smith could keep talking about the body of Anthony Joshua all he wants, that he has the body of Adonis. Well, what did his body do for him in that fight, B?
Actually failed him.
It failed, right? It played no role. It didn't matter. And I got to be honest, B. In this fight, one guy was soft on the outside and hard on the inside. The other guy was hard on the outside, soft on the inside. And I think it played a role in his fight. All right. Another thing people need to understand about Andy Ruiz, looking further. I looked at some photos of Andy Ruiz from like just about 6-7 years ago, Beeb. This dude was a lot bigger, man.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight.
He lost a lot of weight. And I could tell you, Andy Ruiz can work. He could work out every day for the rest of his life. He's not going to lose that excess fat. It's not going to happen. I think that dude's got some muscle under there, man. That's what I think.
Yeah, he definitely's got some muscle underneath that. No question about that.
I think he's got that excess fat outside like George Foreman did. I think he can absorb those shots. Because that's the only thing that explains, because you cannot be out of shape and box, man. Anyone who's ever you've sparred before, B, right? You know how much energy it takes to just, get in that ring. Even if he just hit mitts. So this guy's in shape. But big win, man. Shout out to Andy Ruiz. And you guys, man, throw a jab at that like button. All right. Throw a jab. Dedicate your thumbs up to Andy Ruiz. Right? Right now.
Andy Ruiz. So what's going to happen in the rematch? You see anything different?
There's a lot of X factors, right? I don't know. I still don't know what to make of this whole that he was concussed. I'm hearing different reports. I'm hearing 8 weeks before. I'm hearing 8 days before. I'm hearing all types of shit. I'm hearing, it's all rumors, right? That he had a breakdown, before he walked out. I don't know, but man, it's not impossible that he could win the rematch. It just isn't. I mean, look at Kovalev. Kovalev avenged his recent knockout loss. You know what I mean? So it's not out of the question. I'm not too the problem for Joshua is how easily he was getting countered, and I don't know if he could fix that at one training camp. So that's why I'm thinking it might be a mistake to jump in there so quick. He has to fix a lot of his. He has a lot of defects, man, defensively. And I don't think it's a matter of doing more training it's the quality of his training, man. I think he needs to get another trainer. He needs to take a couple fights, take the Klitschko route. Like Klitschko didn't jump right in there with Corey Sanders, right? I mean, he let his brother take care of it. Right? Yeah. He just moved on for that. He's like, I'm just going to move on for this.
That's true.
The Brewster fight, he avenged it, but like way down the line. Like if he waited for that to avenge that loss. And I'm surprised that Josh was just jumping in there, man. Like let Ruiz defend his championship against someone and see how someone else does against him. And you can get a lot of footage out of that, man. I just think the more I think of it, the more I think it's a mistake. And I think it's a 50-50 fight, man. I think the rematch is 50-50.
Who would you pick to win?
Oh, man. I would slightly favor Ruiz.
Yeah. Because Eric made a good point. He thinks that it's just a bad style for Anthony Joshua. And the guy that allegedly knocked Joshua out in sparring was basically the same physical dimensions as Andy Ruiz. Yeah. And we already heard that Joshua has problems with shorter guys. He can't really get his jab going against these shorter guys. They seem to get underneath his jab or whatever. He doesn't feel comfortable punching down. In other words,
look, what Joshua has to do to win the rematch, he's gonna have to. It's gonna be a snooze fest. But he needs to just utilize his jab, utilize his height, tie up Ortiz when he gets inside. That's what he has to do.
Well, I'm concerned about this rematch being in the UK. I know I keep saying it because even in the United States, did you see the scorecards?
I did not. What scorecards?
They only had Ruiz up by 1 point at the time of the stoppage, and they had him down by 1 point on one of the cards.
But were they counting the last round though? Where we got knocked down twice?
No. They don't count the last round.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you have Joshua up in that fight.
Is that fight even close, though?
I think, look, if Joshua does a couple of things, yes, the fight will be closer, right?
But I'm saying, was the fight even close? That we just saw. Should it have been? Should Ruiz have only been up by 1 point?
No, he should have been up higher. He should have been higher.
I only gave him one. I only gave Anthony Joshua 1 round in that fight.
I'm going to be honest. I think me and you might disagree on the first 2 rounds, but they were competitive. They weren't doing a lot in the first round.
Who'd you give the first round to?
I actually gave it to Joshua.
Okay.
The second round, I thought could go either way. I scored it for Joshua. But if you give it to Ruiz, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, I gave Ruiz the first 2 rounds.
Round 3, definitely Ruiz's round. And I think
maybe
round 4, definitely Ruiz.
And Joshua got round 5 on
5 is the Joshua round. But I think Ruiz was getting the second win. And then round 6, definitely Ruiz. I don't know how anyone had Joshua up, to be honest.
Yeah. I only gave Joshua the fifth round, and you could argue that maybe he won the first, but other than that, I just don't see it. He's backing up the whole night.
Well, I think he was personally. I think he was doing a good job avoiding the hook up until when he hurt Ruiz. Right, he started to. If you notice, he started to let his hands go, and that's when everything just unraveled.
Yeah,
It's ironically though he was landing after, but Ruiz caught him with and it did look. I mean, the hook itself, Beeb, didn't sound devastating or anything. It just hit him like on a sweet spot,
yeah, it was a crazy punch.
and I don't think he recovered from it, man. Like, I just don't. I don't think he recovered at all. But Joshua needs to watch some tapes of Klitschko and how Klitschko fought smaller dudes, man. That's what he has to do. I mean, the fact that Povetkin really couldn't do anything to Klitschko. Well, what did he do to Klitschko? I
Nothing.
mean, he didn't do anything to him.
Nothing.
However, but he was
lost
blooding up fucking Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua's got some serious defensive problems.
And guys with short arms, okay, give him problems on the inside because he doesn't he doesn't use his height, babe. I mean, I don't want to overstate this, but what was he doing jabbing to the body?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess in theory, I guess he was trying to work, like tire him out, but it was a dumb move, like throwing a jab to the body against a guy like where Joshua's knees had to be bent at a 90-degree angle to land that jab to the body. And I remember calling that fight live, and I was almost laughing, babe. Like, I couldn't believe he was doing it.
I heard you. I went back and listened.
I was trying to hold back the laughter. Like, why is he jabbing the belly? And then not only that, there weren't even like stiff jabs to the belly. He was like tapping him to the belly, and I have to question, not just Joshua, but I need to like I know people say McCracken's a great trainer, and I'm sure he is. But you can't fight every fighter the same, okay? The jab to the body is great when you fight Klitschko, a guy your size, right? But you don't do that against a guy like Andy Ruiz, man. Like, I just think he was asking for trouble. And to me, like in the second round, there was times he was making Ruiz miss by a mile at times. And I thought and then he started circling towards the hook of Ruiz, and that was a little troubling. I just question the preparation for this fight, and the many people are talking about the mental aspect and did he quit, but I mostly question the technical aspects of the fight. Like that, if you look at that fight again, look at where Joshua, not only was he backing up, but he was circling to the wrong direction at times.
Yeah.
Champ
Life made a great point in the chat. He said he jabbed to the belly because it worked against Povetkin. And if you remember in the Povetkin fight, he started touching him to the belly, and then Povetkin kind of dropped his hands. And then he came over the top with that huge right hand. He was trying to get him to drop his hands so he could set up that huge right hand. And here's another thing. If Joshua has such problems with short guys, then how did he knock out? How did he knock out Povetkin?
But let me say this though. Let me say this, babe. Right?
Yeah.
I go back to what I said earlier. What did Povetkin do to Klitschko?
Nothing.
Did Klitschko utilize a jab to the body?
No.
All right. So did Joshua have to jab the body of Povetkin?
No.
No. And I argue that he probably got clipped more times upstairs trying to work the body with a jab.
Yeah, that's probably why he was getting hit too.
Yeah. So like I understand, like you could look at that little anecdote and say, well, they worked there. But you have to question, was that the best path to victory? Because honestly, when I watched, people thought I was crazy, but when I watched that Povetkin fight, that's another fight I did live. I just feel like Joshua caught him with a good shot and put him away, right? It really came down to who was going to land the big devastating shot at that point. He just beat him to the punch at, trading hooks with fucking Povetkin. He traded hook with Andy Ruiz. It didn't work out to his favor. You can't fight every fight that way. You know, it's if you've ever played blackjack, right? Okay, went to knock, right? And okay, went to say hit me, okay, and just because it works one time, just because you had 18 and he said hit me, okay, and then you got a 2, so therefore you got 20 now, doesn't mean going for it at 18 is always a good move, right? And I just think that Anthony Joshua does a lot of unnecessary things in that ring. He does not utilize his height. He needs to have an intervention, him and his team. The same thing Lewis did, the same thing Vladimir Klitschko did, and they need to restructure how they fight, especially smaller guys. Right? They need to restructure how they're going to fight these guys, in my opinion.
Who would you bring in as a trainer for him?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I'm not sure actually. I mean,
I think Joe Goose would be a perfect trainer for him right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about Joe Goosen. That's why Joe Habib's the man, right? Joe Goosen will be a phenomenal trainer for him. But people aren't going to like this. And if people like Joshua because he's exciting and all that, okay. But look, Klitschko. You remember how exciting Klitschko was before he got knocked out by Corey Sanders?
Yeah, he was.
I mean, this dude was exciting to watch. All right. But then he had to do what he had to do. Look at even Lennox Lewis, right? Had to switch up his style a little bit, right? And that's what Joshua has to do, especially against smaller guys, right? Especially against smaller guys. That's just my opinion.
Well, here's the thing. If you remember when Klitschko came back after those losses, I think you kind of slightly alluded to this. He became really, really defensive.
Yeah.
But Lennox Lewis pretty much stayed the same, but he tightened up his defense a little bit too, changed up the hand positioning, learned how to fight a little bit better on the inside. But
clinched more, yeah.
Yeah, he clinched more. He used his weight more too on the inside.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see Joshua? Do you see him turning into kind of like a Klitschko now or a Lennox Lewis? I kind of see Joshua becoming a little bit less aggressive now. I think this may have taken something out of him, and I think I think he's going to be less aggressive and he's going to be less offensive minded as he was before. And
Yeah,
I think guys are going to have confidence now, particularly Andrew Ruiz in the rematch. He's going to have a lot more confidence now, knowing that he could touch him and hurt him. And
right.
and Joshua's gonna still have that in the back of his mind. Whereas I hit this guy with my best shots, that right hand and that big left hook, and he kept coming at me. So that's going to weigh on him psychologically.
He can't look. First of all, he's got to get that. And Klitschko, I think, is a better example than Lennox, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
because Lennox's were more like one-punch knockouts.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Klitschko
had a stamina.
His first fight with Emmanuel Stewart, he lost it. Like people forget that. Okay, and it was stamina. I mean, he was. I remember the ref looking at him, and I think they stop it after the bell rang.
Yeah,
right against Brewster, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Stewart, they lied him. Like he told him, "Oh, your cup," or I forget the story, but made him believe that it was something with his cup or something that was causing the stamina issue. So we're going to switch your cup or whatever, and then it kind of, it gave him that confidence again, right? So there is some, to be honest, a lot of similarities to Klitschko and Joshua Beeb, right? And the mental aspect, but the stamina issue as well. I think he needs to lean. Personally, I think he needs to lean a little bit. I think he needs to lose about 10 pounds of muscle and get a little more lean. That's a lot of oxygen in the muscles, man. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's just too much there. And especially in his arms and when he needs to crank again to throw, it just takes him a while. So that's one. He's always in all his fights. I mean, I remember when they gave him extra time to get taped up. Remember in the Parker fight?
Yeah.
And when Parker, I think he tried the same thing. You're not going to get a break, right? So like there's always been an issue there, even in the Klitschko fight. I mean, he dodged the bullet in that fight, And then there's been other fights, obviously, but there's always those middle rounds with he just takes them off and he's breathing out of his mouth in the third rounds. And, he needs to get that fixed first and foremost. All right. The other thing is that mental aspect. Okay, I don't know. I don't think that can be really fixed, but if he can it's going to take winning, Beeb. He's going to have to like win a fight, then win another fight, and then get in that groove the way Klitschko did, and get in a winning streak. That's what he needs. Like that, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. So he just needs to get some W's again. Just keep rolling in those W's. That's what he needs. This fight, the rematch with Ruiz, might ruin all that. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
it might ruin it.
you see him cleaning house. See him cleaning house with the team, with the training camp. You see him firing a lot of guys and bringing a lot of new guys in for this rematch. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I don't even think he needs to get rid of his head. Like, they just need to bring someone in, right? Like, short answer, I don't know. But I don't think that's necessary, right? I just think, right, maybe there's certain trainers that are going to say, nah, if you work with me, you're going to work on my team, whatever. But they need like a hire, like kind of like Emmanuel Stewart will come in and, work with Chavez back in the day, if you remember, right?
Yeah,
like Chavez didn't fire his team, but Emmanuel Stewart came in for certain fights, and
exactly.
that's what he needs. I think that's what he needs. He needs someone to come in.
He needs an addition. So what do you think about this? I guess he had this sports psychologist in this camp, sort of like how Carl Froch had a sports psychologist in his rematch with George Grove. Again, like he admitted to having this. So again, is there going to be some issues with him? Like, is he damaged? Is he psychologically? Is his confidence gone? Does he need to be? Does he need to be rebuilt? Mentally again.
Well, look, it's not impossible. Like, we just talked about him, right? We just talked about Vladimir Klitschko. It's not impossible to come back from something like this. It isn't. But it's going to take work. It's going to take time. And will it happen? I don't know. But psychologically, like by definition, if you hire a sports psychologist, it doesn't mean like you're mentally damaged or something, right?
No. But does he need it? Does he? But you usually do that to help build up your confidence.
Yeah.
Mentally, is he going to be second guessing himself in this rematch?
I question it, because if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, that's all the validation you need, right? Or you should need, right? But I mean, Carl Froch had one, and he didn't have a mental problem, right? So
no, let's say he has a mental problem, but I think it's a confidence issue.
Confidence issue. Why? You think Froch had a confidence issue? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, possibly, yeah. But again, he brought it in. He brought him in for the second fight with Groves, and he actually ended up knocking Groves out in emphatic fashion in the rematch. So,
look, I honestly don't know what to make of this sports psychologist thing. It's just odd to me, to be honest with you. But it to me, I don't think a sports psychologist is going to help him with anything regarding boxing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. That's just me. Right. Like, I think he needs to. I would have taken the slow route. Right. I would have been like, no, we're not gonna, pursue a rematch right now. Let Andy Ruiz go fight some other monsters in the heavyweight division. We're gonna take our time here. We're gonna start building ourselves back up. And if you're Anthony Joshua, you can get a title shot whenever you want, right? Like, that's because you're one of the big names, one of the big four now in heavyweights. So I just don't understand the hurry. I really don't. Either Anthony Joshua knows something was so wrong that he's confident that there's going to be no issue in the rematch, right? Or he's being pushed to do the rematch by Eddie Hearn. It's one or the other. Right, but I don't know which one you think it is, but I find it strange that they're jumping in so quick.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to favor Ruiz in the rematch, but again, I'm not gonna like it if it's in the UK. I would be skeptical of it, and I wouldn't be as confident if the fight was in the UK. If the fight ends up being in LA or New York or something like that, I think Ruiz will win again.
I do want to ask you, B, before we go, what do you think of not the Butterbean comments, because he's already kind of backtracked those, but Stephen A. Smith saying that this was bad for boxing. That it's nothing against Ruiz, but Ruiz winning was terrible for boxing. Boxing, quote unquote, did it to us again. Right? Like, what are you? I just want to know what your thoughts on that is.
He sounds like a little kid that didn't get what he wants, and now he's throwing a temper tantrum. Oh, I didn't. We don't get the fights we want. And I love what Max Kellerman did. He countered him perfectly. He's saying, well, now you may not have gotten the fight you wanted, but now you have another addition to the top three. Now you have a top four. Now the division's more wide open. Now the division's more exciting. There's the more players you have at the top, the more exciting and the more entertaining and better the division is.
Yeah.
And Stephen A. Smith is the only one that was crying about Ruiz. Like everyone else was so happy. Like they wish even the British fans were starting to cheer and root for Ruiz, and give him his props after that fight. Because how can you not? You have to be dead inside. You have to be soulless if that was not an inspiring, emotional night for you.
Yeah.
Watching all of that happen, like who the fuck doesn't root for the underdog in America? Who doesn't root for the underdog in this country?
This was, I mean, first of all, when Stephen A. Smith says boxing did it to us again, I mean, what we don't get upsets like this all the time. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, but
listen, look, Joshua lost the fight. He's the reason why the Wilder fight's not happening. It's not. Yeah. It's not. He lost the fight.
Plus, if Ruiz, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. I hear a lot of people doing that. By the way, I don't know why, but
Eric calls him John Ruiz instead of Andy Ruiz.
Yeah. Like, what's going on here, bro? Like, we're still not. We're not even used to this name. He came out of like.
No disrespect, Andy Ruiz. We still
we're just we're gonna get it right one day. Okay, without those slips. But Andy Ruiz, man, like Stephen A. Smith said that it's not like the NBA where in the finals you got to beat this team and that team. Well, by Stephen A.'s own logic, Joshua is that team that couldn't make it to the finals, right?
That's it.
And that's it. Like, like if you want the best to fight the best, well, obviously Andy Ruiz is better since he won than Joshua. Until Joshua proves otherwise, Andy Ruiz is better.
Like that year, right? It's like that year the Celtics got knocked out.
Yeah.
By 76ers, and the 76ers ended up playing the Lakers in the finals. It's just the way it fucking goes.
And like, I didn't see anybody say, "Oh no, basketball did it to us again." Like, what does that even mean, right? So, like, if anything, this was good. I mean, we should be upset when they're putting, champions in there against a bunch of nobodies. They put them in there with a killer, right? And that's it.
And then, and on top of that, all we got a historic fight. We got a fight. This could arguably be fight of the year, right?
Yeah, round of the year, round three.
Round three is definitely going to be round of the year. This was a memorable fight.
There has to be a hell of an upset to beat this upset this year.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know what. Like, maybe if Ortiz beat Wilder, maybe. Does that beat it?
No.
Maybe it might depend how it happens, I guess. But
no. Well, because Wilder won't be as big of a favorite as Joshua was over Ruiz against Ortiz.
Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna have to, like, Mayweather's gonna have to come back and loosen some MMA dude, like, to beat. This.
Think about it. Think about this fight, and think about the magnitude of this fight. Think about how great this fight was when it really boils down, right? This could arguably be fight of the year. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Round three could be round of the year. Okay? It could also be upset of the year, right? And Ruiz arguably could be fighter of the year. So look how many great things came out of this event.
A lot of things, man. We haven't seen that. Remember when I think the last guy to win fight of the year, he was fighter of the year. He was in the fight of the year. And he got the knockout of the year with Sergio Martinez.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Because you remember that? He got the Triple Crown.
Or Paul Williams?
He had the fight of the year in the first fight with Paul Williams.
Okay.
Right. He got the knockout of the year in the rematch, and he was the fighter of the year.
Wow.
I think he beat Pavlik in that same rolling year. That was a hell of a year.
Wow.
Okay. but yeah, that's crazy. But this was great. This was good for boxing, and it's so upsetting to see some, because whether we like him or we don't, people listen to Stephen A. Smith because he's on ESPN, right? People listen to what he has to say.
He's irritating.
Whether we like it or we don't, that's why I address it, because I'm hoping some of these people run into my video or this video and they're like, yeah, he is an idiot, right? So, and I'm glad Max Kellerman countered him. I'm actually glad a boxing guy like Kellerman is on a show like First Take. Like, I hate that those type of shows, but they kind of insult our intelligence as sports fans. Personally, I feel, especially as a boxing fan. But Max Kellerman brings an element to boxing, and that's good to see. Because if it was Skip Bayless, I mean, forget it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this was good for boxing. This wasn't bad for boxing. Okay. This was a great fight, man. And I feel, I know I keep saying one last thing, B, but what's up with Robbie not having the zone?
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for bringing
look, I work in the industry. Okay. Robbie, quote unquote, streaming can mean anything. Right? Whether you stream from a cable, whether you stream from Wi-Fi, whether you stream from a phone line, an Ethernet cable, whether you stream from a satellite dish, okay, all of it is tech. If you do it from an over-the-air antenna, all of it is streaming, right? Like, it's okay. You can watch the zone. It's all right.
I mean, and it's not just me and Eric telling them. Like, everybody's telling them. Everyone that watches the show is saying the same thing. Like, why doesn't he get the zone? Why didn't he get the zone?
Yeah, I'm coming at it from a good place, man. I'm not trying to, like, call him out, okay? But if you're going to be on Ringside Reporter talking fights, you got to watch the fights. Like, there's a little bit of a responsibility, I think. But
I agree 120%.
Especially, I heard the show where you said you would buy him, what was it, a Fire Stick or something?
Chromecast, yeah.
A Chromecast. I will pay your monthly subscription. Like there's no excuse. There really isn't.
Yeah. Give us, who wants to donate to the Robbie the Zone Chromecast fund? Everyone want to give $1 for Robbie? We'll get him his Chromecast and we'll get him his DAZN subscription.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat.
It is Chandler M. Dude thinks like people care about his opinion or something, right? But like it is what it is.
Whatever.
Guys, make sure you throw a jab at that like button. All right.
D-Style and I go back since 2009. I've known the guy for 10 years, man. He's always welcome on this channel. Sorry, that's just the way it is, bro. Well, no, I'm not sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Get out, man. I'm going to throw $2 right now to the Robbie fund. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Robbie's got to get it. Like, it doesn't have to be a Chromecast. It could be a Fire Stick.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Like, it could be anything. And then not only that, I watch the fight on my phone. Just watch it on your phone then. Like, what's the big deal? Like, if you don't want to watch it on your like I just don't like watching it on your phone is better than not watching it at all. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, this is the third video I did today, man. I'm fucking going crazy with these videos.
Yeah, you're going crazy with these videos.
I'm trying to pump these videos out. I'm gonna do a nice beating the odds with Beeb for the Pacquiao Thurman fight.
Yeah, I think you should bring that series back.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's hard sometimes to do them because there's not always a lot of bettable fights out there because the odds are so horrible.
Yeah, but that's people need to hear you say that because you got people over here losing money. Okay, people need to. It's okay to tell people, you know what? Don't bet on this fight. Right? It's not a bettable fight. That's. People need to hear that.
That's a good point too, yeah.
And even if that's your top recommendation, you could still give if someone's like, well, if I bet, what should I do? Then you could still give them your take, like.
Yeah. That's a good point. We'll work on that.
But hey, I mean, shout out to anybody who bet on Andy Ruiz. Shout out to you guys. You guys want a lot of money.
So let's do one little question and answer in the chat here.
Sure.
Um, who wins the rematch? That's question number one. Question number two, where does the rematch take place? UK or United States? I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts on that. I think the rematch is going to take place in the United States, and I think Andrew Ruiz wins again. The opinion you should follow should be your own. I love that. Shout out to Haplotype and Haplotype O in the box in the chat. Shout out. Shout out to everyone in the chat. King Cali, salute. Haplotype, salute. Cristiano NW, Christian NWO, salute. John Spano, salute. Young Merv the Cutman, salute. BCI, salute. Exisco, salute. Cali King, salute. Okay. Cali King says AJ. Ruiz wins. Exisco says Ruiz wins the rematch in LA. Christian NWA says Ruiz wins the third round KO. Champ Life says Ruiz take TKO 9 LA. A lot of people think this fight's going to be in LA. That would be a good place to put it. Yeah, we have.
I mean, even Vitelli knew that when he fought Ariola. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, Appletap says depends how long they stall the fight. Immediate rematch in 8 months. Well, Hearn's saying November or December. I have a hard time believing it's going to get done.
That's way too soon, man.
Yeah.
That's way too soon for the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy.
Appletap says if it's soon and in LA, Ruiz wins. Thank you, John.
You know what?
I
might go watch. If it's in LA, I might go watch that fight.
Yeah.
I might be there if it's in LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too far for. It's like even if I drive, it's about 14 hours away from me.
Yeah.
I'll take a plane, but I'm saying, that I'll go. I'll go if it's in LA.
Dr. Monfongo says Ruiz is in Joshua's head at this point. Could be. Could be. Could be.
But we've seen both scenarios. We've seen the scenarios where it's the same result, right? Juanma against Orlando Salido, for example. But we've seen the reverse. We've seen guys avenge it before, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's just, you know. Well, but I will say it's rare that when they lose like this, it's rare that they win the rematch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But more often than not, the guy that wins the first fight usually wins the rematch, right? I mean, let's look at it.
Yeah, because if you win a fight, you know, more than likely it's just a better fighter. I mean, you know, but I agree. You know.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. Thank you for the support. We're going to wrap this one up, man. Everyone have a great night, and I'm sure we'll be popping out some more videos later in the week, man, as more news comes out. Everyone have a great night. Take care. Peace out.
Peace out.